So just playing around, having a little bit more fun with my Slayer tower. I haven't played with it for quite a while. And tonight I got a bit of a heat sink on the MPS 806. And I have that capacitor, which is actually in parallel with the primary. And the primary is double wire, but only to increase the gauge. And it's about, it's 4 turns. Now I found that it wasn't very close to resonance with the secondary. So I added this capacitance and it made a huge kick. Yet if you don't add the right amount, it doesn't help at all. And I suppose if it was in really close to resonance, it probably would just throw it off. But it is interesting nonetheless. And the other thing that I noticed is that if you want to control the input, you can choke the input slightly. Now in that situation you can see the primary on that little choke, and I'm going to use the center tap because I don't want the whole thing, which would be basically reducing it down to 4 turns around that toroid. So anyway, if I plug it in straight up, so I'll go straight to the, see, I'm not using the input choke. Then, she didn't fire, so. Sometimes it's a little finicky. Didn't fire. Okay, now she's oscillating. Had to bump the bulb a little bit. You can see it starts off drawing pretty heavy and then settles off at around 230 or so milliamps. Whereas if I change that input, in this case, I can drop it down a little bit. Say I dropped it down about 30 milliamps with that choke conductor on the input there. Now, what happens too is, if you look at it normally, there it goes, it'll settle off to about 23, 22. I have one scope pattern. Now if I change that, you can see it actually changes the waveform as well, which is kind of cool. And I still have quite a good brightness on that. Now if I remove the capacitance on the power, or on the primary, now I'm basically, it fell right off. I'm gonna have to switch back to the no end. Okay, so now it's only showing about 90 milliamps, and I'm not getting a light on this bulb yet. Okay, this input's around 100 milliamps, but the bulb's not firing right now. So I'm going to put this capacitor back on. And there you go. Now what I'll do is I'll take the capacitor off while it's running. You can see that now it stays running, whereas before I couldn't get it to start on that low draw. See, down around 90 milliamps now. And you can see the wave pattern. So I'm going to add the capacitance here. You can see it tunes itself as that capacitor fills. And then of course the light increases in brightness. So now I'll remove it. Light dims. Now I'll add it. The interesting thing is it can be quite difficult to start at the lower input. Here. So just playing around with different things, tuning the primary. I'll give you an indication of how much light that is in a completely dark room. It's not a night light. You wouldn't want to have this on sleeping. It's a dim evening room light. And at this rate, I suppose the battery's sitting at about 12.75, so you're looking at about 3 watts. So it's not absolutely fantastic, but it's not bad. It's not bad. It's a lot of fun. Thanks for watching.